Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Let's Play The Great Ace Attorney. Beim letzten Mal haben wir den 4. Fall begonnen und dürfen tatsächlich mal wieder ein bisschen ermitteln. Sind jetzt hier gerade am Tatort angekommen und ich würde sagen, bevor wir uns jetzt richtig hier umgucken, gucken wir noch, was wir ihn so fragen können. Vielleicht zu dem Fall und allem drumherum. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the very sophisticated police and organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamed of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with the helmet on. Ja, sie sehen ziemlich bescheuert aus damit. Vor allem, wie es einfach nur, ja, vor das Kinn geklemmt ist, nicht unter das Kinn, sondern vor das Kinn. Was soll denn der Mist? You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Vielleicht soll ich seinen Helm auch tragen, hm? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does. Goes around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep. Rubs on the windows with a long pole, did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town, which is another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. Oh ja. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. Sogar viele steps offensichtlich zu weit. And when it gets dark, of course, there's the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose in between all of these duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well? And chase after the criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They expect to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. Ja, vielleicht solltet ihr das dann einfach nicht mehr so handhaben. Vielleicht solltet ihr was daran ändern, wenn ihr das schon merkt. Das ist nur so ein Vorschlag, ne? Von mir, ich bin ja kein Experte. I always dreamed of wearing one of these helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I should have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Narode. Nein, ich will keinen Helm tragen. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. About the case. It happened around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open pit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's been treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Sondern, truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, won't be able to find out much about her at all. Aber, was ist sie denn dann, wenn sie keine Lady ist? Hä, ich bin sehr verwirrt gerade, was du damit sagen willst. Oder hat Lady noch einen anderen Aspekt der Beschreibung, den ich gerade nicht so richtig einbeziehe? I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's the art policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd of a bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Ja, und damit jetzt auch offiziell den Job wohl. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. Ja, das ist wohl wahr. Das kommt noch dazu. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. Warum? Wo sind die Überwachungskameras, hä? Habt ihr die? Nein, habt ihr noch nicht. Also. Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. Natürlich habt ihr die, natürlich habt ihr die. Wahrscheinlich war das die Mörder. Ah. It was a typical foggy London day. The client obviously didn't see them. They were witnesses now. Aber wenn es so neblig war, dass er sie nicht gesehen hat, wie konnten die beiden dann den Mord so gut erkennen? Okay, ganz kurz erstmal im Voraus. Kann ich mir die Karte angucken? Da ist der Mord geschehen. Okay, ich weiß nicht, die Karte wird wohl irgendeine Relevanz haben, ne? Was soll uns das sagen? Warum ist hier noch eine Straße? Warum ist hier noch eine Straße? Die Meerschaumstraße. Ein kreativer Name. Ja, aber keine Ahnung, was wir damit anfangen sollen. Wird dann vielleicht irgendwann relevant in der Verhandlung. Na gut, machen wir weiter. Was ist mit den Zeugen, den beiden? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. The man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Ah! Oh man, a policeman. That might change things. Ja, ein ganzes Stückchen sogar. This policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching the bang in the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask a policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Ja, ein bisschen spät, ne? Aber gut, werden wir wohl. I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man before, and it seems a policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Ja, das ist mir schon klar. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Sehr schön. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. Yeah, that was Mr. Hollock Sholmes. What do you bring him up for? Was it something I said? Color has drained from his cheeks. Das ist halt vor allem sehr verwirrend, weil du ja gerade gemeint hast, dass es einen Zeugen gab. Und wenn es einen Zeugen gab, was hat Hollock Sholmes da noch damit zu tun? Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered the lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle. Ah. The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets this information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime. Wanders around spotting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Ich meine, das ist genauso das, was wir bisher so von ihm mitbekommen haben, so ein Großteil. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Ah. Ever seen this before? Ja, tatsächlich haben wir das. That's Rand's Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Hollock Sholmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes it a mockery for all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any Hollock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to the obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true. Can it, Inspector? The great detective and his police have a complex relationships. Und ich glaube auch, dass es gar nicht so unwahr ist. Du bist einfach nur ein krasses Fangirl, ist das Problem leider. Deswegen siehst du das vielleicht gerade nicht so unbedingt gerne ein. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, yeah. Makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Ja, und jetzt ist er plötzlich zurückgekehrt. Und das sogar zweimal miteinander, ne? Wie kommt das bloß? Als hätte er jetzt auf uns abgesehen. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? War das also nicht gewalttätig genug, dass jemand erstochen wurde? Oder, naja, nicht erstochen, sondern gestochen? Wie nennt man das denn, wenn man nicht tot ist danach? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely? That's just my point, sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's gotta be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? Lord of Darkness ist auch ein krasser Name für ihn. You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. We're really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as you put it? Oder übel? Wahrscheinlich schon. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Ja, dementsprechend gucken wir uns doch mal um, oder? Oder gleich zumindest. Mr. Naruto, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes? What is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. What? Mit wem? Über was? By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Ach so, ja klar. Yes, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in this case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. Nein, ganz sicher nicht, ich weiß doch. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even. So, the Baker Street. How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. Warum steht seine Adresse in den Stories? The most famous address in the world. I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way before so the sun gets any more excited and unpredictable. Nein, wir gucken uns erstmal noch an den Tatort jetzt um. So we'd have a reunion already. With the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. Ja, aber erstmal gucken wir uns um, okay? Bitte, ein bisschen zumindest. Ich weiß nicht, ob wir was finden, was Spannendes, aber man kann es mal versuchen. Also, fangen wir an. Ach, da hinten links gibt es auch noch irgendwas. Ein kaputtes Fahrrad zum Beispiel. Oh, a British bicycle, look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. So I must have been doing some breakneck cycling. These bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. Oh, das wäre ja sehr freundlich. Bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Nein, ganz sicher nicht. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me. Ist das dir passiert? You'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Weiß ich, das klingt noch gruseliger. Also ich meine, Fahrradfahren ist in Ordnung, aber hinten drauf sitzen auf dem Fahrrad, während jemand anders fährt, das finde ich immer richtig angsteinflößend. Da habe ich gar keine Kontrolle über irgendwas. It's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks in decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible. Ich meine, wir könnten das verwenden, das Haus, da könnten wir reingehen, vielleicht. Yes, you're right, cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. Nee, das ist optional, würde ich sagen. Wir können keine hohen Ansprüche stellen jetzt erstmal, indem wir so viel Geld verschwendet haben letzte Nacht. Oh, look at the windows of that building there. you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled in with bricks. Ich weiß nicht, ob das Fenster sind, also, vielleicht waren es mal Fenster. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. Und deswegen ersetzt man die Fenster gegen Steine? There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Ah, vielleicht will jemand einfach... Achso, da links sind ja auch Fenster. Ja, okay, die sehen sogar deutlicher nach Fenstern aus, als die ich mir gerade angeguckt habe. So much we have to learn about this place. Ja, will wohl jemand seine Ruhe haben, ha? Aber dieses Gebäude könnte doch mal relevant werden, habe ich das Gefühl. In diesem Fall. Auf irgendeine Art und Weise. Vielleicht hat... Oh, ja, ich wollte gerade sagen, jemand hat vielleicht aus dem Fenster ein Messer geworfen, aber es gibt keine Fenster. Na gut, da oben sind Fenster. Clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? The dense fog as well, everything looks hazy. Well, what is known as foggy London town? You just make out some sort of spire through the fog. Looks like it's still being built though. Aha, yes! There must be the Crystal Tower being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. Apparently, it's going to be very striking. Glazed on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exhibition in history, is it? Can't even begin to imagine it. Das da hinten, ha? Ja, wahrscheinlich. Gut, das war's dann, glaube ich, auf dieser Seite, aber soweit... Oh, die Straße noch? There are piles of snow on the pavement here and there, but the road itself is covered in carriage tracks. It seems carriages often travel down Briar Road. It soon disperses all the snow. I slipped over when I was walking down the pavement earlier. Seems like it would be far safer to walk on the road instead. Oh, but you're rather small, Mr. Naruto, and dressed all in black. Ja, dann überfährt man dich noch. Or a coachman might not see you and you could be flattened by horses. Well, thank you for the rather small concern. Naja, wir würden die Pferde ja vielleicht hören, ne? Im Voraus. So schnell sind sie ja nicht. Ja, wobei, ich weiß nicht, wie schnell unterwegs sind mit der Kutsche hier. Kann ich nicht einschätzen. So, ist hier noch irgendwas Spannendes, außer der eigentliche Tatort? Erstmal alles andere angucken. Oh, this is Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride on one of these through the streets of London. Du hast ganz schön viele Träume gehabt, seit du so viel Zeit mit Sherlock Holmes Geschichten verbracht hast. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of those windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Ja, aber dann hast du deinen Traum erfüllt, immerhin. Wouldn't it? Still, it's the only way. Help me find a good stone. Nein, 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 das war nicht ernst gemeint. Bitte. Komm schon. Ich mag sie. Hehe, what a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy though. Oh, there's a scarf, look. I need one if you were out in the freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss it. The person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway, if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Ja, das ist auch wohl wahr. Aber das ist sehr interessant, ne? Dass sowohl in Japan als auch hier Schneemänner gebaut werden. Vor allem zu diesem Zeitpunkt, weil wenn er es so anspricht, dann klingt es ja auch nicht so, als wäre es von einem Ort zum anderen übernommen worden. Hat sich diese Tradition etwa unabhängig voneinander gebildet? Aber wie das? Über das morphogenische Feld vielleicht? Ich weiß ja nicht. It's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wanted to close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. Sure, it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all. Ah. Na gut, und auch gerade deswegen, weil wir schon zweimal unschuldig verdächtigt wurden, können wir natürlich noch besser nachvollziehen, dass die Leute, die hier angeklagt werden, vielleicht nicht immer wirklich schuldig sind, ha? Wir können es ganz gut mit denen identifizieren. This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? We just investigating the scene of conspiring with that mustache fellow from Japan, are ya? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, are ya? Come out of here before I give you an iron. Go on. Okay, Bobby. He shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. Dabei wollte sie doch nur den Helm tragen, in Wirklichkeit. Na gut, okay, wir haben hier wirklich nicht viel Erfahrung gemacht. Das Interessanteste ist tatsächlich das Fahrrad, finde ich, und das Gebäude hier mit den zugemauerten Fenstern. Alles andere, naja, vielleicht der Schneemann. Vielleicht ist der Schneemann der Mörder. Weiß nicht. Vielleicht ist es das. Kann ich dir die Karte präsentieren? Nein? Okay. Also kann ich schon, aber will ich nicht, glaube ich. Wir gehen zu Sholmes nach Hause.
Thank you very much.
It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Ja, mein Gott, ist halt ein Haus, ne? Warum wird das so krass inszeniert? Ist halt ein Haus. Was soll der Mist? Wofür war das jetzt da? Aber ich beschwere mich nicht über Anime-Katzen. Ich finde die ja alle ganz hübsch eigentlich. So, this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. Ganz schön unordentlich. Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Sato? Sato-san? Many famous cases have been solved here and in this very room. Oh, I suppose there must have been... yes. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases a villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruto? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So if you don't mind. Muss ich noch ein bisschen um. I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. Ah, she's obsessed. Ja, ziemlich. Kann ich bitte mit Sholmes reden? Sholmes hier irgendwo? Hallo? So, er ist gerade nicht da. Ja, super. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Oh, du bist nicht Sholmes? Hello, is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Ihr gehört also zusammen. Gut, okay. Das hatte ich jetzt noch nicht mehr erschlossen, tatsächlich bisher. Hello. Wait. Aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Ja, die haben wir ja gestern schon gesehen. Mrs. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Bohemia? King Wilhelm Gottreich Sigismund von Ormstein, of course. Wer ist das und warum hat er so einen krassen Namen? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. The tea's brewed and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you! I knew it. So the sun recognizes her too. Kommt die nicht in den Romanen vor? Ich weiß, wir haben sie gesehen. Sie hat wohl die Waffe erfunden, die im Fall verwendet wurde. Also die nicht im Fall verwendet wurde, die nur vor Gericht verwendet wurde. It's a girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGill's trial in the defendant's antechamber. I've never had a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea, it's my special blend, you know. Thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Werden wir vergiftet? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. Do you have another ticklish trial tomorrow? Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes? To you, surely? Mr. Sholmes is a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. I met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. I wonder if she knows so much about us. Ja, sie hat recherchiert. Did she deduce all those things, do you think? Vielleicht ist sie viel besser als er? Vielleicht ist sie der wahre Detektiv? And perhaps more to the point. Why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suit? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. Oh, Wilson! Iris Wilson. Live together with Hurley. Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Sister the Sun? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Bist du dumm? Bist du dumm? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruto, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant, Susutomi Kutawa. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely, Susie and Runa. Got it. Denkst also gerne Spitznamen aus, ja? Ich verstehe schon. Susie and Runo. There's more to this girl than meets the eye. Wobei ich Runo bevorzuge gegenüber Ryunosuke. Das ist leicht auszusprechen. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Dann fangen wir doch auch direkt an, meinetwegen. Converse. Iris Wilson. The reductions just now. Fangen wir mit Iris an. It was you that we went into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm sorry you couldn't have been more welcoming. At the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Oh, die ist ja noch größer. Like this. Ugh. Ah, thinking back now. You left with Miss Lestrade and Tao, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Jean Lestrade. Oh, Ginny, yes, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. You're referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that. So she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Warte mal, was? Worauf läuft das ja alles hinaus? Ich dachte, du bist die Erfinderin. Hurley? Yes, Hurlock Sholmes. We live here together. Wir wissen das, aber I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Bist du dumm? Bist du denn dumm? Sie heißt Wilson. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Keine Ahnung, wie du ihn nennen würdest. Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 12? Oh, okay. Das war ein Scherz, ich dachte, sie ist bestimmt 14 oder 15 oder so, sieht nur jung aus, weil ist halt so. Ist einfach 10. 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Ist ihr Vater vielleicht tot? Oder ist es ihr Großvater? Ich habe keine Ahnung, wir werden es sehen. Das wollte ich nicht tun. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, go ahead, Susie. I am a very great fan of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rand's magazine. Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, it's so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? Oh yeah. That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see. Tells me all about them. Und du schreibst die Geschichten? They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness! Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. Ich habe mich schon gewundert, wie die Geschichten immer noch geschrieben werden, obwohl Wilson tot ist. Na gut, haben wir das geklärt, ne? So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call his latest adventure The Speckled Band. Das suchst du tatsächlich. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, at the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Komm schon. Komm schon, nein! Oh, that was Mr. Show's first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? Ganz schön enttäuschend, nicht wahr, Susato? So do you mean to say... the stories about Mr. Shows that are published in Rand's magazine? All written by me? Yes, on a wonderful and very modern typewriter. Und vor allem, sind sie alle nicht wahr? Ja, wahrscheinlich. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. So the son's getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. Was? I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? 10 years old? Well, that's quite incredible. Was mit John H? Ich meine, du bist, glaube ich, nicht John. Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the settings slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. Ja, schon. Ja, schon. I suppose it does, yes. Closest to the sun. She looks like her whole world is just falling apart. Oh ja. Und das wird es wohl noch weiterhin. Na gut, was mit deinen Deductions, huh? About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Okay. Iris Wilson is proud to present a Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Oh Gott, oh no, nicht schon wieder! Wo sind wir? Sind wir in einer virtuellen Realität gelandet gerade? First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. Ja, das sieht man am Arm. Achso, ja, und sie hat uns da gestern getroffen, tatsächlich. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? You observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh. So I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet a suspect, weren't you, earlier today? Ah. They used those stamps to keep a close eye on coming and goings, you see. I didn't realize. The red stamps only used for people visiting foreign inmates. Ah, wow. The two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Ja, weil sie wahrscheinlich von dem Fall weiß, weil Sholmes ja in dem Fall ermittelt. Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume, ja. Selbstverständlich. Now Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. Du bist viel besser dran als er! Viel besser als er! Vielleicht ist er wirklich nicht der wahre Detektiv. Also, habe ich so das Gefühl langsam. Oh. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly great deduction. You've managed the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. Ja, aber der Inhalt war viel besser als sein Inhalt. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris, please? Bitte, erzähl uns von dem Fall. Vielleicht weißt du ja ein bisschen was. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed in a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Ja, das ist wohl eine passende Beschreibung, tatsächlich. So Siggy's son said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. It seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great detective powers to determine the man's address. There was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police. And what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Ah, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark at that time. Ausnahmsweise. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We've had time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Zu viele Fälle, zu wenige Leute, die ermitteln können. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating a case and trying the criminals in court. Alles rausgerusht, egal ob sie das richtige Urteil fällen oder nicht. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's a harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, is it wirklich das beste justice system? I don't hold much hope for Suzuki-san. Ja, nee, wirklich nicht. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about the case as well. Ah, well. Edward Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts, O'May? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. Ah, okay, klar, das ergibt Sinn. Wir haben ihn nicht an dem eigentlichen Tatort gesehen, nämlich. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody, in that case. Give Grexy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? Ein Brief und eine Münze? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Okay, cool. Bringen wir ihm gerne. It reads, tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that that won't be a problem. Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Sogar freiwillig. Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscripts. The Speckled Band. To making more special balance of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Wir werden ganz bestimmt nochmal zurückkommen irgendwann. Let's back to the scene of the crime. Let's go. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men at Scotland Yard at all. We're back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Da sind wir wieder. Machen wir noch kurz den Anfang hiervon. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with the investigation. Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at the silver tip Iris gave us for him. Er sollte ja nicht so schwer zu finden sein, ne? Achso, ich muss natürlich den Briefumschlag geben, klar. Hier. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Ja, so sieht's doch aus. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign get-abouts, that's for sure. I have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's, well, it's an appearance fee, that's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right. For the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me every time. Ah... Yes, yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course. You're using my name without my say, so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I'm sorry, Inspector, but that must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, huh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust there won't be a problem, it says. But obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector. We'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ah, the little knife-wielding, mustached Japanese fellow. Lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. Is this that? Oh! On the first floor of that house, on the corner, where that wreck of a bicycle propped up. Huh. That is nearby indeed. Remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Gary Depp. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Mag sie wirklich gerne? Habe ich das Gefühl? Well, at least he told us what he wanted to know before he left. Ganz im Gegensatz zu, ja, Sherlock Holmes selbst. Yeah, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Definitely. Sehr interessant, dass das sein Zuhause ist. Warum hat er keine Fenster? Das könnten wir noch irgendwann fragen, vielleicht. Das wäre eine sehr interessante Frage. Aber bevor wir diese und viele weitere Fragen klären, oder versuchen zu klären zumindest, lass es erstmal bei dieser Folge, würde ich sagen. Da gehen wir beim nächsten Mal rein. Ich hoffe, euch hat diese Folge soweit halbwegs gefallen. Lasst mir gerne einen Kommentar da und dann bis dann. Ciao.